It's lots of fun. All right, exercise number 5. So this is getting to whatever project you are working on. This is a question I like to ask, but there'll be a different hook for today. What is special about the world you've created? You don't necessarily have to answer that, just something to think about. So is it because there is a different invention in this world? Is it a world that has magic and the normal world doesn't? Is it an unusual time in history? Is it because it has unusual like family dynamics or something like that? What makes this an unusual world that is worthy of a fictional story, a story that I want to spend time in? What is that hook? Okay, so think about what is special, what makes up the world. Not necessarily the protagonist backstory, like just the whole world, the world that the protagonist lives in. Okay, so think about that for just a moment. Get that in your head. Picture it. Try to live in it for a moment. And I just like doing this, so I'm gonna keep doing it. It's like magic. It's like the jazz hands equivalent of writing. Woo. Oh, we actually haven't answered. The world has a religion deeply ingrained in the culture of the world, and religious hierarchy members work with the police when people curse each other. That's interesting. Do you mean curse in like a kind of a like a Wiccan sort of way, or not Wiccan, but like like it's actually part of a religious ritual to curse somebody? Or do you mean when they like use bad language and they're like the language police? If that makes sense. Like a wicked way. Okay. So like they're using spells or something and then the police come in and they're like, nope, 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 nope. Okay. All right. Interesting, interesting. All right. Well, that being said, who wants the world to change? So every world has a character, has a person in it that doesn't like the world as it is. Sometimes in an extreme way. I mean, you have anarchists in society that just want governments to come toppling down. You have Julie Ja Luna. I'm sorry, Ja Luna, right? Yeah, Jaluna. That's a beautiful name. Jaluna story is about a religious world, so there would be atheists. There always are, you know. So who is that type of person who wants the world to change, and how might they impact your story? Do not forget that there are those people that work at odds with society. And don't forget to either include them in your story, hint at them in your story. Perhaps they are the antagonist or the protagonist of your story. Like if it's a dystopia story, the person that wants the world to change is usually the protagonist, right? Because they want to bring that system come crashing down. Um, but sometimes stories are about people that generally like the world as it is. They maybe want to tweak it, but they don't necessarily want to change that dramatically. And then you have the characters that want to take the more extreme step. So don't forget to portray that perspective. It gives the world a rounder feel, it's more balanced, and it can create some great tension. The person is dead, but is the whole reason the story began. Oh, that's interesting. So the person in your story that wanted the world to change is a that's almost like a religious figure, or like a prophetic figure, or a martyr, when you have somebody that comes out there and they're famous for wanting the world to change in a dramatic way and then they die. Obviously, in history, that has a tremendous amount of impact. So, what I would suggest for something like that is, which is something I'm sure you're doing, but you want to make sure you have that presence of that person throughout. So, they maybe see paintings of them or they quote them, or I think of, maybe this is a weird example, but Spider-Man Far From Home and how it did a great job with Tony Stark kind of looming over the film. Spider-Man keeps just, and it's casually, he just casually keeps encountering him, on murals and newspaper articles, and he's like scanning through the airplane movies, and there's a documentary on him. It's just like he's everywhere, and it just works really well. So just think about that. Well, that being said, I hope you're pumped up because I'm pumped up because it's time to do a writing sprint. So let's get going and get some writing done.